Hi, my name is Michelle Davenport and I'm a Primary 1 teacher in West Lothian. I've been in Primary 1 for 5 years now, and over the course of these 5 years my practice has considerably changed. When I first started teaching in Primary 1, I thought I was doing play. I wasn't. Basically, what I was doing, I was letting the children choose 3 or 4 things that I'd already pre-selected for them to play with. I then noticed that our local authority was offering a CLPL course, and it was simply called Play in Primary 1. It was such a simple title, but on this 6-week journey, I feel like I learned so much. As part of this, we'd explored the different types of play and what benefit this can have on the children in the class. I took the information that I got through this event back to my head teacher, and after a discussion about the practicalities of free flow play, I decided that I was going to carry out a practitioner inquiry on this area. After the discussion with my head teacher, I felt very empowered, and I knew that I wanted to make this change. I wanted to make it for our school and for the learners. I carried out this inquiry between April and June 2018, and since then, to be honest, I haven't looked back. I absolutely love this way of teaching and of life in Primary 1. Throughout the process of the inquiry and the approach that we were taking on play, we shared this with parents, and the feedback we received was excellent. And after this feedback, we decided that we were going to roll it out as a way of Primary 1 as of August 2018, and it's the approach that we're still using in our Primary 1 today. So what I do now, I now allow the children to free flow play throughout the full day. In my setting, I'm very lucky enough to have 2 rooms, both of which are semi-open planned, and they're connected through a corridor, and we've got toilets close by. I wanted to mention about having the toilets close by because the children don't have to ask to go to the toilet. They can simply go to the toilet whenever they choose. When we first introduced this, it was a bit of a nightmare because we've got big trough sinks and the children were in there constantly playing with the bubbles and doing things that they shouldn't have been in the toilets. But now they've realised that there's more fun to be had in the classroom and in the playroom rather than in the toilets. I wanted to mention that really because at the moment, the current circumstances, we feel that's been really beneficial. There's less accidents and things that the children are having, purely because they can choose whenever they need to go to the toilet, and it means that we don't need to get at we can avoid the closeness of having to help the children get changed. So these 2 rooms and the corridor connected. It's purely for Primary 1. No other classes use this, and they can go between both the rooms whenever they choose. So a wee bit of background into the typical Primary 1 day in my rooms. The whole class come onto the carpet. They've got a specific carpet spot that they sit at 3 times a day for whole class teaching. Once will be for a literacy teaching point, once will be for a numeracy, and another for any other curricular area. Yesterday it was science that we came for a teaching point yesterday. After the teaching input, the children will go back to their play, and myself and my pupil support worker will extract groups to complete a follow-up task. The children's voice is at the heart of the planning for learning and teaching, and I'm using floor books to gather the children's voice, and we plan our areas of learning together. We've also taken on what we're calling rainbow learning, and these are colour-coded tasks which we try to keep as play-based as possible, which the children must complete within the week. At the moment, we've got 2 tasks that we're asking the children to complete within the week. One will be a literacy task and one will be a numeracy task, and they can choose whatever point of the week that they wish to do them. Some children come in and want to get them both done first thing on a Monday. Some will wait and you're chasing them on Friday to get their 2 tasks done. We'll then introduce another 2 tasks around about Christmas time. 2 of them will be literacy based and 2 of them will be numeracy based. And then come Easter time, we'll introduce another 2 tasks so that by Easter time the children will be completing 6 tasks independently throughout the week. 2 literacy, 2 numeracy, and 2 some other curricular area, depending on if there's a themes week or something in the school at that time. We have the tasks colour coded, and the idea is that come the end of the week the children will have gathered all colours of the rainbow, and it's like we've got a colour coded tub next to each activity that the children will basically do like a little self-register to let us know that they've completed that activity. So I'm just going to share a few photos of you with our setup in class if we just move on to the next slide. So these are some areas that we've got in the playroom. And in the playroom, we're trying to keep all the play resources as open-ended and natural themed as we possibly can. This allows the children to create whatever they want in different areas. In our block play, I've actually got another 3 units of blocks. I couldn't get them all into the one picture there. And in the block play, we've got images of buildings around the world for stimulus for the children to use when they're building. At the moment, it's the Burj Khalifa. It seems to be getting a different Burj Khalifa each week. Since that picture's been taken, actually, we've now introduced, we've got just cardboard boxes that we've put in that area, and we're just calling it. It's not just the box, and the children can use that cardboard box for anything that they want it to be. It's big enough boxes that they can go and they can sit in them. We use the scarves in that picture for dressing up, just so the children can dress up, and they can dress up as whatever they want to be. It's not a fairy costume or a Spider-Man costume. They're using their creativity, choose what they want to dress up as. We've got loose parts within all the areas within in the playroom, in the house corner, and the blocks, and we've got a specific loose parts area for the children to use in whichever way they choose. So to set up this playroom, I worked really closely with my colleagues in the early years. We're really lucky in our school that we've got a nursery in the same building, and we've always worked really closely together with the colleagues in the nursery, but having them help me on this journey, it really brought us a lot closer together as a team. And it was fantastic to have their support and guidance to help me make these changes and to develop some of our current play areas, to help me make the play more meaningful in the area. We had some school budget left over, and I was allowed to create a wish list of different resources to purchase when we first started this initiative to complete the playroom, and it was loads of blocks that I picked. Recently, I've participated in a block play CLPL course, which I found really beneficial to help me think of what the children can do to use the blocks, help them to be a bit more creative when they're doing it. One thing that really struck home with me on that course was the speaker was saying, don't always go over and ask the children what they're doing. Sometimes just sit back and watch them, and I've started to do that a lot more recently, and I've really found that to be helpful with observations and helping create profiles for the children. After that course as well, I also found a short document called I Made a Unicorn, and it can be downloaded as a PDF from communityplaythings.co.uk, and it just really helped me with my thinking of how to use blocks creatively in the classroom. And if we just move on to the next slide, these are some pictures from the other room that we have in our primary 1 set, and this is where we would have the teaching room. The more formal teaching would take part in this room. So within this room, we've got a literacy and numeracy areas. We've also got an ICT and a role play area. I'm changing the role play area around about every 3 weeks at the moment, and the children are voting for what they want the role play area to be. I'm encouraging them to try and replicate areas which are in their local area. I'm really finding that's helping with developing the young workforce, and it's helping to cover some of the E's and O's within social studies. So previously it was a cinema. It's been Asda before, and currently it's the Five Sisters Zoo, which is a zoo local to West Lothian. We're having a vote next week to see what is going to become after that. Having these two separate areas within our set in the playroom and the more formal teaching room, we've got a teaching table at both of these rooms, which allows for myself and my full-time pupil support worker to distance ourselves between each other at the moment. It's obviously very appropriate at the moment for that. I think having the 2 rooms and having the teaching tables in both is really helping with that. So just as last year's cohort of children were getting into the swing of free flow play, and we were about to give them more activities to complete during the rainbow learning, we then went into lockdown. So if we just move on to the next slide. So during this time of lockdown, we communicated with parents and we shared their learning through our school blog. We continued to celebrate the achievements of the children throughout this time, but as a primary 1 member of staff, I didn't feel that I was able to teach the same as the upper school were able to through using Teams. Since then, our local authority have recognised this, and they've purchased Seesaw for the full authority, which I'm sure many of you are already using. We will be using this platform as a journal to give parents ideas to support learning. We'll also be using it to set and give feedback on home learning as well. And as this platform is able to be used to teach lessons, if another closure happens, that's what we'll be using if that's to happen again. So what now? Basically, when this cohort of children, of primary 1 children, came in this year, we wanted to ensure that the children this year still had all of these experiences that I spoke about that last year's primary 1 children have. So after seeking guidance from our local authority, we were able to carry out risk assessment and take on the early years approach, so that the children were able to mix with each other and play as they would be doing in the early years. Just move on to the next slide. I'll give just speak about the typical day in primary 1 at the moment. So usually our school day would start at 8:40. And what we're doing for the primary 1 children at the moment, we're opening the doors at 8:30 so that they can begin their day a little bit earlier. It allows for a more relaxed start to the day, especially at the beginning of term. It really helped us to give a bit more support to those children who were upset in the mornings when they were coming in. It just gave us that wee extra 10 minutes to get them in calmly before the playground got really busy. And if we need to take a child's hand to guide them into school, we would ensure that we were wearing gloves when we were doing that. We did have to do that back at the start with a few children, but at the moment we're not needing to do that. Obviously, same as everyone else, we're hand washing as much as we possibly can. They come in the mornings, before break, after break, lunchtime. Because we've got the 2 rooms as well, we're trying to encourage the children to wash their hands between both of the rooms. We've got hand sanitizer stations set up in the middle of the corridor, and most children are using the sanitizer as they're passing between the 2 rooms, or the hanitizer as the children call it. I think that's so cute. We're trying to limit the time that the children are congregating in the cloakroom area, and therefore we're not asking children to change their shoes when they come in. All children have brought in a pair of window shoes, which we have kept in an area within the cloakroom, and we've just asked for this if their shoes get wet or dirty when they're outside, that we've got a clean pair to change into. Obviously, coming into the winter months, we are looking to review that to see if that's what we're still going to continue with, or it might be that they might need to change their shoes a bit more in these winter months. We've got PE from a PE specialist 2 days a week, and on these days the children wear their PE kit to school, which means that they don't need to change into their PE kit. I'm more than happy for that to happen every single year. It's been great this year. As I'm sure most of you are doing as well, all the children have got their own personal pack. Within it, they've got the writing pencils, some colouring resources, glue sticks. We've even popped some Play-Doh and things in there as well. So when the children are completing their rainbow learning or their teacher-led activities, that they've got everything that they need to in their packs, which they keep in their tray, and they can access it whenever they choose. We do try to get outside also as much as we can. We offer extra play times on roughly about 2 or 3 times a week. It's usually on days when the children haven't got their PE slot, and it's really helping to break up the afternoon a bit and getting them outside for that extra play. And if we just move on to the next slide, I'll just talk about the challenges that we've faced. I think it goes without saying that everyone faces a challenge of distancing at the moment. We've recently just updated our risk assessment just before the October break, and we're continuing to ensure that when we're working with a group of children, we don't work closely with this group for more than 15 minutes. At the moment, it's not been an issue because 15 minutes has been more than enough time for the children to complete a task. Wearing a face mask for us at the moment with the younger children is optional when we're wearing them. I have attempted it a couple of times. However, when teaching phonics, I have found that particularly challenging. We're using vowel, house and colour for consonants to teach phonics, and that's a multi-sensory approach to teaching this. It's teaching the children about the shape that your mouth's making, where the sound comes from in your mouth, and when you're wearing a mask, it's basically impossible to be able to teach that. One thing we've also really missed with the primary ones is having their buddies. We buddy up a primary 1 child with a primary 7, and we've really missed having them there this year and seeing those friendships develop. What we've started this week is to have our primary 7 buddies read a story to the children over Teams. So we log on to our school Teams space, and the primary 7s will take it in turns to read a story to the primary 1, so that each different primary 1 child is getting to see their buddy at one point reading a story to them. It's been lovely to see their faces when they realise that it's their buddy reading the story for the day. And if we just move on to the last slide now, I just wanted to finish off by saying that I've found that the children on this journey have been so resilient. They're really just getting on with it. It's definitely been a lot easier being in primary 1 than being in other stages of the school at the start of the year anyway, because that's all that these P1s have ever known of school. They've not known anything to be any different. They've just been so resilient, and they're just getting on with it. They've made me really proud this year. So thanks everyone for listening, and I hope that's given you a bit of an insight into our primary 1 life at St Ninians at the moment. Thank you.